parts of Delhi, most parts of the national capital early this morning, where the AQI in most places was above 500. It got slightly better through the day. The question is, why is this issue not being debated in Parliament? Parliament is met for the last 19 days. Tomorrow is the last day of Parliament. They're saying that there is a scheduled debate tomorrow, but for 19 days, they did not find time to discuss this issue which singularly concerns every single citizen of our nation's capital, found zero time in our parliament, in our nation's parliament, where our parliamentarians were busy doing this. So the question you need to ask yourself, viewers, your voters, take a stand. If you have no discussion on AQI, no vote. No AQI discussion, no vote. Take a stand tonight with us here on CNN News 18. But I want to first bring you up to speed with what has been happening in Parliament instead of discussing this most important issue. In a rather unique show of unity, as it was, in Parliament, it was poised to hold a debate on the pollution crisis. This was under Rule 193. It allows for short duration discussions on urgent public matters. I can't think of anything more urgent than the pollution story. Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was supposed to speak. DMK MP Kanimuri was supposed to speak. BJP MP Basuri Swaraj was also scheduled to speak. They were all speakers. Even the names of the speakers was listed. But that debate, which was scheduled to happen at 2 o'clock today, a little after 1 p.m., the House got adjourned for the day. So they didn't have to have that discussion around pollution. And tomorrow, like I said, is the last day of Parliament. Mostly on Fridays, it's private members' bills. But on the last day, for 3 weeks, they found no time or energy or inclination or space to discuss the most pressing issue of the public in India's Parliament. And now they've kicked that can down to the last day. Whether or not that debate happens, we'll wait and see. But the political showdown has been around this rebranding of MGNREGA. It dominated 3 proceedings of the House. There were unruly scenes that played out. Opposition MPs storming the well and disrupting the proceedings, some even tearing up the bill and flinging the copies at the face of the Union Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Do our netas even care about what is going on and what really matters to the people of this country? By the way, they found time for some side issues to be discussed in these last 3 weeks. There was a massive discussion, spent over 8 to 10 hours discussing the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, the national song. That was a discussion that was held in the Lok Sabha. 60 MPs participated in it. 60 MPs. 11 and a half hours of time was spent on that discussion. Then came the discussion on election reforms. Admittedly, an important issue, an issue that concerns everyday voters and everyday people. No doubt about it. Again, an issue that had stalled Parliament for the first few days because the opposition would not relent. The government finally said, okay, we will discuss electoral reforms, we will discuss SIR. Time was allocated, 13 hours. 13 hours was spent discussing SIR. 59 MPs took part. Why couldn't they find 1 minute, 1 hour, 2 hours to discuss the most pressing issue facing the national capital? That is the pollution crisis. We spoke to some MPs as they were coming out from Parliament and asked them, what is going on? Do you not care? Why should the voters vote for you if you're not going to take up issues that matter to them? Listen in to what they had to say.
कहीं ना कहीं जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सरकार की है, जहां पे हमें सरकार को काम करना चाहिए कि प्रदूषण को कैसे कम किया जाए एनसीआर दिल्ली में, तो मैं समझती हूँ कहीं ना कहीं सरकार दिखी भागती हुई इस महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे पर चर्चा करने के लिए।
आज पंजाब की पोल्यूशन इतनी बुरी नहीं है जितनी दिल्ली की है। लगातार कई सालों से पंजाब के किसानों को बदनाम करके कि ये पराली जलाते हैं, इस करके धुआं इधर आता है। तो क्लियरली ये अपनी जिम्मेवारियों से भागने के लिए ये सरकार ने पंजाब के किसानों को बदनाम किया।
इन लोगों ने, दोनों ने मिलकर दिल्ली, पूरे प्रदेश को और खासतौर से दिल्ली को जीना मुश्किल कर दिया है, आम आदमी का सांस लेना मुश्किल कर दिया है। और अगर कोई जिम्मेदार है इसके लिए तो पूरी तरीके से केंद्र और प्रदेश की भारतीय जनता पार्टी सरकार।
अब प्रदूषण पर राहत भी चाहिए और आप जो कदम उठाएंगे उस पर सवाल भी खड़े करेंगे। दोनों चीजें एक साथ नहीं चला करती। साफ स्पष्ट है कि विपक्ष केवल और केवल इस पर राजनीति कर रहा है। विपक्ष को प्रदूषण मुक्त होना बर्दाश्त नहीं, क्योंकि प्रदूषण यदि समाप्त हो गया तो विपक्ष का मुद्दा उनके हाथ से निकल जाएगा।
अब जब से फरवरी में भाजपा की सरकार आई है, सरकार ने आते ही मुख्यमंत्री जी ने वाटर स्प्रिंकलर्स, MRS, रोड के ऊपर वाटर स्प्रिंकलर्स को डिप्लॉय करना, ये सब काम किए हैं। लेकिन फिर भी ये उपाय संतुष्टिजनक नहीं है। इसके ऊपर एक साइंटिफिक स्टडी होकर वो साइंटिफिक जो कारण आएंगे उनको दूर करने के लिए पर्टिकुलर कदम उठाए जाने चाहिए। दिल्ली सरकार और केंद्र सरकार इसको लेकर बहुत सचेत है और इस पर काम हो रहा है।
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, listen to this. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Kirti Vardhan Singh, today in a written reply in Parliament has said, and hold your breath for this, air pollution is only one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments and associated diseases, but there is no conclusive data that establishes a direct correlation between higher AQI and lung disease. No conclusive data available to establish a direct correlation of deaths exclusively by air pollution. When there are a number of studies, any number of studies that show that, including Lancet, which is the world's most respected journal, but who's to tell the Honorable Mantri ji that? But let me go across to our political editor, Aman Sharma, who's joining us. Aman, is there any context basis to what the minister is saying, that there is no link between deaths and rising AQI?
Well, interestingly, Zaka, there were two questions asked to the Minister of State for Environment, Kirti Vardhan Singh, and one question was by a BJP MP, Lakshmikant Bajpai, and the other question is by a Congress MP, Randeep Surjewala. And what they asked is that what is the relation of the rising pollution in the capital with lung diseases, and one MP asked what is the relation with death. So in both these answers, the government is clearly denying any connection between rising AQI with either lung diseases or with death. So I'll read out the first answer to you, where the minister says air pollution is one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments and associated diseases. There is no conclusive data which establishes a direct correlation between higher AQI levels and lung diseases. So the government is saying there isn't even any data to show that lung disease is caused by higher AQI. And the second answer, he's going further and saying that air pollution is one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments, but there is no data to show it is leading to any deaths. And this, Zaka, flies in the face of what we have heard from Lancet. Just, very recently, in fact, last week when the data came out of Lancet and they put out a report, they clearly said that 15 lakh deaths are linked to pollution in India. This is the biggest medical journal, the most reputed medical journal, saying about the air pollution situation in India. It is also said that PM 2.5 is linked to multiple health issues. There is a nationwide impact, not just in the urban areas, and Lancet even said the exposure raises heart, lung and premature death risk. So the Lancet is saying it's causing lung diseases, it is causing premature death, but the government remains in denial and says there is no data to establish this. And that is why I think, Zaka, is very much evident in the way the pollution issue is being fought in the national capital right now.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Aman. Thank you very much. It's like he said, it flies in the face of every available scientific study that there is to show that there is a direct connection between rising AQI and lung disease and deaths caused because of lung disease. In fact, let's do that. Let's look at the claim made by the minister and what the reality is from reputed scientific or medical journals and studies. The minister claims, and he has said this in a written reply in Parliament, so it's part of parliamentary records now, no conclusive data linking deaths to air pollution. Lancet put out a study. It is the most reputed medical journal in the world, and nobody doubts that. Lancet put a study saying 17 lakh deaths in the year 2022 were linked directly to pollution in India. That's not speculation. That is science that is reviewed by doctors, by pulmonologists, by scientists. That is hard data-driven science. That's Lancet for you. Then the minister also says in his written reply, no data correlating higher AQI with lung diseases. Now, the Lancet study confirms that pollution exposure raises the risk of heart disease, lung disease, and premature death. In fact, every 10 microgram increase in AQI results in an 8.6% greater chance of you contracting lung disease. They've even collated the data by number, but the minister says there is no correlation. In fact, the correlation is there in hard numbers. That's been given out in not just this one study, but multiple other studies as well. Let me now open this up to our guests. And frankly, there are two parts to this. One is the fact that the Parliament just doesn't seem to have the time to debate this number one issue for residents of the national capital. And number two, I mean, who are we trying to fool by saying there is no link between air pollution and lung-related illnesses or lung illness causing deaths. Niyama Gupta is spokesperson of the Delhi BJP. Brijesh Karlappa is spokesperson of the Congress Party. He's joining us. Ma'am, where do I even start? I mean, first of all, you have to acknowledge that the problem needs to be addressed. Our parliamentarians couldn't care. They're throwing up bills and they don't have time to discuss this most pressing issue. They've now kicked it to the final day of Parliament, and I'm willing to wager a bet I don't think a pollution debate will happen on the final day of Parliament. Number one, that's a question of priority. Second, the Honourable Minister putting out this reply saying no link between rising AQI and lung-related deaths or lung-related illnesses. I mean, come on. Are the people of India fools? Are the people of the national capital fools to believe that?
Right. Good evening. Thank you for having me on your debate. We are very well aware that we are facing a high AQI, and the Delhi government is here working full throttle to reduce the impact of the pollution. I understand what is the sentiment of every Delhiite. I myself am a Delhiite, and I'm not here to politicize this pollution topic. We are, for the first time, I can say with a lot of conviction, taking data-driven decisions, tough measures, and for showing no hesitation to sort of impose curbs to protect public health. And yes, the fight against pollution is happening on ground. As you're aware, today is the 18th. Multiple steps have been incorporated, like 50% work from home, BS6 vehicles only to be allowed in Delhi, PUC compliances, otherwise no fuel to be given. Even like something like to prevent coal, biomass burning, 10,000 electric heaters have been distributed. And, we are thinking of steps at every level. There are steps which we've been doing since we've come. Even construction and demolition activities are not being committed, and their waste handling and processing infrastructure has been created within 10-kilometer radiuses. Removal of illegal parking.
Ma'am, is anybody actually checking if all of this is happening on ground or not happening? I mean, it's good to pass these notifications, but are we seeing this on the ground? Are you sure no non-BS6 cars are not entering Delhi?
I mean,
are you
yes,
sure that there is 50% work from
ability,
50% work from home, both in government and private offices? Are you really saying that all of this is happening on the ground?
This is not just on paper. The whole purpose of giving these sort of harsh, working 50% from home is not easy. Every team we have deployed from our perspective is to make sure these are enforced to the best of their ability to show results.
Okay.
I mean, just on the 12th of December, the CAQM deployed something like 19 teams for road inspection drive, which I'm very, very well versed about, adding road sprinkling systems. So over here, what my point to you is that, and we're also working concurrently with Haryana, UP, and Rajasthan, taking measures to improve the situation to a fast speed. So my point here is, I understand the cynicism of every Delhiite, and I'm not.
No, it's not just cynicism. Please give me a moment. You may think we are cynical and therefore you can get away with this. Anyway, the season will change. Once the winds come or once it rains, the pollution will go away. Then the people will forget about it. People are not cynical. People are angry. They are dead angry. Ma'am, please listen to me. Please listen to me.
Yeah, sure. Then
people are dead angry because if there is no anger amongst Delhiites, you wouldn't have seen the video that came out a couple of days ago when Mr. Messi was in the stadium. And I don't want to repeat what the chants were. I mean, those are Delhiites. Those are ordinary people of this city. And that's a reflection of their sentiments. So let's not call it cynicism. There's dead anger, white rage that people of Delhi are feeling right now. So let's not underplay that, please.
Okay, so, you answered my... you said it's not cynicism. You said the weather will change, the season will come and go, and there'll be no change. That is a matter of fact cynicism. But their anger of a Delhiite is very well... I'm a Delhiite myself. I have 2 young kids myself. So I totally concur with what's happening. But I also believe that the system right now we've put into action is going to bring about change. Am I just being optimistic? No. I'm being more practical.
Let's ask Brijesh. Brijesh, will it happen? Sure. Not happen? Congress Party ruled for 15 years. Aam Aadmi Party ruled for 10 years. Now BJP is there. Kuch hoga ki nahi hoga? Will it happen? Not happen?
See, I'll be very frank, Zaka. And as you know, I was also a Delhiite. I was a Delhiite till 2018. And the reason I left Delhi was because of the air pollution, right? I would feel very enthused the day the Prime Minister spoke on this subject. When Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, then he would regularly face questions regarding AQI and Delhi pollution and so on and so forth. But I have not heard a single journalist speak to the current Prime Minister for the last 11 years regarding AQI or pollution or so on and so forth. So I think as far as I am concerned, I have a feeling that this is not going to go anywhere unless the Prime Minister involves himself personally. I have personally seen how a person, a journalist like Sachidanand Murthy, who's a good friend of all of us, and he was in the Week magazine for several years. He developed lung issues and then he shifted to Bangalore and then died a year later, right? So lung issues are an extremely serious problem, and this is happening not just to people we don't know, it's happening to people around us, right? My son studies in Sonipat. I'm very concerned about his well-being. I'm extremely concerned about his well-being. Do I see things going anywhere? No. For this reason, that these kind of questions have to be answered by the person on the top, and he's the Prime Minister of India. He's not going to answer these questions, nor are the journalists going to put these questions to him. I'm not trying to make this political. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this political.
No, I know, but what about...
I think you touched a raw nerve. That's the reason I'm mentioning the Prime Minister. Otherwise, it's honestly, it doesn't make a difference to me because I'm seated in Bangalore.
Yeah.
It doesn't honestly
the
make
bad
a
air
difference
is...
to me.
I mean, you're not breathing bad air. We are here in Delhi.
Yeah.
No, but tell me,
I'm
what about the Minister's reply? Can we put that out? The Minister says, where is it? The Minister says there is no conclusive connection found between rising AQI and lung-related deaths.
No, I'm only an uneducated, a person with absolutely zero perspective can have made a statement like this, one. Two, and this is not the first time he's made a statement. This is the second time he's made a similar statement. Nobody takes him up. No, there has to be somebody who, catches him by the scruff of his collar. Not literally, but somebody has to ask him a question. But, these questions can't be answered because...
No, by the way, Brajesh, one place where these questions can be asked and should be asked is also Parliament. I don't know why our opposition is not making this the number one issue to be discussed.
Yeah, Zaka, a person no less than Mrs. Sonia Gandhi has spoken about this issue. She has personally said that I'm a Dama patient. Priyanka ji has spoken about this issue. Rahul Gandhi has spoken about this issue. Now, who sets the agenda in Parliament? Rahul Gandhi? Or Sonia Gandhi? Or Priyanka Gandhi? Who sets the agenda? You tell me that. I think your viewers know the answer to that question.
No, the Treasury benches do, absolutely. No. I mean, this is not some rocket science. The Treasury benches decide the agenda. But anyway, so Ms. Gupta, please.
It's not an important issue for them.
So, Ms. Gupta, please tell me, two things. This reply by the minister, I find completely confabulating. I mean, Lancet, which is the world's most reputed medical journal, peer-reviewed hard data, hard science, says that in the year 2022, 17 lakh Indians, 1.7 million Indians died because of exposure to outdoor air pollution. That's a 38% rise over a 5-year period.
Right. So, on behalf of his statement, it's not my place or space to speak about it because I don't represent him in any capacity. But having said that, he has to explain his own reasons for making that statement. But we over here in the Delhi government, I can assure you, we are really working hard to control major factors causing pollution, whether it comes to vehicular dust, biomass burning, and all these measures are being enforced already, seeking the cooperation of the citizens. Because for me, personally speaking, and because I'm seeing day and night the meetings which are happening relating to pollution in Delhi government, they recognize the problem with a lot of intensity and they're really working hard to ensure that there's breathable air.
Ma'am, with due respect, please tell me, the biggest decision that's been taken so far, I think the one that impacts the most amount of people, is the non-BS6 cars. You're not going to let non-BS6 cars enter Delhi. Now, first of all, please tell me, what is the logic of, Delhi registered non-BS6 can continue to fly in Delhi, but UP registered, Haryana registered cannot go in or come out, even though, I mean, you know this, you're a Delhiite. Lakhs of people either live in Delhi and work in Gurgaon or live in Gurgaon and work in Delhi. Same is the case with Noida. Please tell me the logic of that, number one.
So
Number two, please hear me out. As per the Delhi government's own study, 37 lakh cars in Delhi which are under BS5, right? Which are allowed to fly. Polluting cars, certified polluting cars under BS5, as per the Delhi government's own study, 37 lakh such cars are there in Delhi which are flying right now. Nobody's putting a stop to that? but you are
Okay,
targeting cars coming in from UP and Haryana. Please tell me, what is
Are
the
you
logic?
done? Are you done mocking all
Two-
the
no,
logic
two
of
questions.
Delhi
I just had
government?
two
Because
questions.
I see from your tenor that you're here mocking any step which is being taken, but that's okay. I'll take it in humor.
Please.
When it comes to the latest, compliant vehicles, BS6, and before criticizing that vehicular emissions are a major contributor to Delhi's toxic air, especially when it comes to the winter months. Okay. And what I've understood from the studies that 40% of the particulate pollutions in the NCR were in densely traveled corridors. So the compliance of vehicles with pollution norms have also been made more strict. And after multiple warnings in the last few months, now only vehicles with a valid PUC certificates will be provided the fuel. And also, according to the CAQM, the transport sector contributed to about 40% again to Delhi NCR's ambient air pollution.
We know all that.
Hence, let me
but
finish.
what about
I
non-BS6
didn't interrupt
cars
you. Don't
inside,
interrupt me.
inside Delhi, ma'am? What about non-BS6 cars
So
inside
all
Delhi?
those
They're not polluting?
PUC
They're exempt?
compliances have been made stricter. Okay, so you're controlling, please understand, it's a concurrent thing which is happening simultaneously inside Delhi and in and around
Okay.
Delhi. Okay, so that is where this angle comes into fore. And most importantly,
I leave it to the
I
wisdom of
don't think,
Delhiites who
Mr.
are watching
Zaka,
this program,
you
ma'am,
should,
to listen to you and to buy
Then
what
don't
they.
call me on your debate.
I'm happy to. I'm not sitting here in judgment. Our viewers,
No,
I leave
you're
it to
not
them.
sitting-
No,
you're
I'm
not
not
here
sitting
to
in
listen.
judgment. No, I'm not here sitting in judgment. I leave it to the viewers to sit
Yeah,
and judge
please leave it
what
to
you
your
have said.
viewers.
Yeah, let them decide. Let them
Yeah,
decide.
let them decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brajesh, I'll give you the final word. I got to go to the next topic now. Yeah. Brajesh.
Yeah, so Zaka, see, there are as many as 35 thermal power stations in and around Delhi, right? And nearly only 14 of them have the flue gas desulfurization plants, right? So I think this is a very important point which I think the government is not speaking about. And I think this is something which is required to be done. And also the fact that, BJP is now ruling both the MCD, is ruling Delhi, is ruling in the center.
Yeah.
So it's not a, it's not a double engine sarkar, it's a triple engine sarkar. So I think the point is, if they keep giving reasons like this and say that, no, we actually banned the use of tandoors and all this, I think it's actually, pouring salt over wounds. I think they should not do that anymore, because I think, like you rightly said, the people are not just angry, they are furious.
Okay,
They
we'll
are
leave it at that.
furious.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I'll leave it to the viewers, I'll leave it to Delhiites to decide what you feel about what's going on in the national capital and the absolute cavalier manner in which that issue has been treated by our politicians, by our parliamentarians. We'll see if the situation improves, the air quality improves at all. I want to move on quickly from the north to the south, where at least the air quality is better. You can see from the blue skies there over E Road, where actor turned politician Vijay stormed into the AIADMK's bastion of E Road. This is very close to Salem, by the way, from where Edappadi Palaniswamy hails. E Road is also the birthplace of Periyar, the ideological fount, as it were, of the Dravidian movement. This was, by the way, Vijay's first public meeting in the state since the Karur Stampede happened in September. In that stampede, of course, 41 lives were lost. This was the AIADMK's turf, but his singular aim was on the DMK. He cast himself as the heir to Tamil Nadu's social justice legacy. He questioned the ruling DMK's claims of governance while inviting the crowd to publicly affirm its faith in him ahead of the assembly elections next year. He's declared the DMK an evil force, and he has positioned his party, the TVK, as a pure force. So it's a pure versus evil sort of framing that he has made in this public address in E Road. He delivered the message with the flourish of his cinematic monologues. He's invoked former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha. He's revived memories of a rivalry with Karunanidhi. And with that, Vijay is now attempting to rewrite the state's political script. Not just DMK versus ADMK anymore. He wants to make it DMK versus TVK. Will that happen? We'll find out from our analysts. But first, let's listen to what Vijay said at this E Road rally.
எல்லாத்தையும் தப்பு தப்பா திருச்சி பேசிக்கிட்டு அவதூறு பரப்பிக்கிட்டு நான் கூட யோசிப்பேன், எம்ஜிஆர் அவர்களும் மேடம் ஜெயலலிதா மேடம் அவங்களும் ஒரே வார்த்தையில சொல்லி இந்த திமுகவை காலி பண்ணாங்கல்ல. நான் கூட யோசிப்பேன், ஏன் இவ்வளவு ஹார்ஷா பேசுறாங்க, ஏன் இவ்வளவு ஹார்ஷா அவங்கள திட்டுறாங்கன்னு யோசிச்சது உண்டு. இப்பதானே புரியுது. அவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் சொன்னதை இப்ப நானும் ரிப்பீட் பண்றேன். திமுக ஒரு தீய சக்தி, திமுக ஒரு தீய சக்தி, திமுக ஒரு தீய சக்தி, திமுக ஒரு தீய சக்தி, தீய சக்தி, தீய சக்தி, தீய சக்தி. என் நெஞ்சில் குடியிருக்கும் ஈரோடு மக்களே, டிவிகே ஒரு தூய சக்தி. எப்படி? டிவிகே ஒரு தூய சக்தி, தூய.
அது தலைவர் முடிவு எடுப்பாங்க, நான் எப்படி சொல்ல முடியும்?
விஜய் வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் நடத்துறீங்களா இல்ல கண்காட்சி நடத்துறீங்களா? சார் அதை பத்தி
என்னைக்கு நீங்க அதே மாதிரி கேள்வி கேட்டுறீங்களா?
இல்ல சார், அவர் பேசுறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு கொடுக்குறோம்.
ஒரு வாட்டி பேச விடுங்க.
Okay, I want to go across to a quick face-off on this. Sumant Siraman, political analyst, joining us. S. Muralidharan is a political analyst who backs the TVK. What is this framing, Sumant? Tiya Sakti, Tuya Sakti. I mean, are people in Tamil Nadu going to buy this, or is just? I mean, as the saying goes, the narrative needs to be set, and he's setting the narrative as evil force versus pure force, DMK versus TVK.
Yeah, Zaka. First of all, these are Jayalalitha's lines. For years and years and years, she would call the DMK an evil force. She would go as far as calling Mr. Karunanidhi himself that. So I think that this is a straight lift from the AIADMK's earlier line about the DMK. So to that extent, he's probably targeting the AIADMK vote bank. Mind you, along with him on the stage was Mr. Sengottayan, who's recently shifted from the AIADMK to the TVK.
Yeah.
Having said that, there are two major issues which Vijay did not address. One, he said very little about his view on the contentious issues in the state. Mostly the Deepam issue in Tirupurangundram, the issue related to the MGNREGA being renamed, all of that. He said very, very little. We don't know what Vijay stands for on most issues. We know that he's anti-DMK, but beyond that, and the point is, he's not going hard at the AIADMK for some reason. I think.
What is the reason? What is the reason?
I think he's leaving the door open, Zaka. There are still 4 months to go for the election. There is still, look, in today's Tamil Nadu, one thing is crystal clear. An alliance between Vijay and the AIADMK and indirectly with the NDA in some form will be a sweep, will be an absolute sweep.
Okay.
So there is no question of what the result would be if he aligns.
So why is he not allying then? Why is he not allying then?
Well, because of the BJP, which is the elephant in the room. Now, he's identified the BJP as an ideological enemy. And how do you go and align with your ideological enemy?
Okay.
Unless create a narrative saying that things are going so bad that the objective of in this election should be to get the DMK out of power.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Muralidharan this. You know, I think Sumant has a point in as much as what is his stand on Tirupurangundram? He's not said a word about it. I think even Annamalai asked him, what is his stand on that? Number one. Number two, what is this hanky-panky business going on between ADMK and TVK? Either you're in an alliance or you're not. Either you're fighting each other or you're in bed with each other. So that's the second thing. All the other pressing issues that matter to the state and matter to the people of the state, why does he not have a view? He just says Tiya Sakti, Tuya Sakti, as though people in 21st century Tamil Nadu are happy with this cinematic framing as it is.
Yeah, Zaka, to answer your questions, let me start with the first one is like, the Tiya Sakti, Tuya Sakti is like, if there's one issue, I think he would have spoken. He had a very limited time. And everything is an issue in Tamil Nadu, starting from law and order. There is safety of women, safety of small girl children. Tamil Nadu has become the POCSO capital. I don't know whether you are or not. And the number of crimes have gone up through the roof. And there are so many issues. And the Tirupurangundram is one. Where Tirupurangundram and the Deepam issue, these are very clear. When DMK is, scoring a self-goal, why harp about it? They actually they presume that they're taking a anti-Sanghi stand and they're actually hurting the Hindu sentiments.
So no, but why is he not saying it then? He should say it.
Why should he speak about it right now, Zika? As I said,
Because right now is when the issue is burning up the state.
No, everybody can understand it's a self-goal, and there's already BJP in the fray, and ADMK is also thinking about it. So he would like to remain neutral. He doesn't want to take sides as of now.
You think it's a neutral issue, or you think it's an issue on which political parties should take a position?
See, it's definitely a issue where political parties should take this thing, but it should not hurt anyone's sentiments, because you have the Muslims also, the Waqf board also is coming to the issue and stuff like that. So it's better to keep away.
So say that's the reason. That's the reason he doesn't want to take a position. He doesn't want to alienate the minority vote.
Yes, one. The minority vote is what is totally depend on, and that's why he's going to. So his enemy is focused on DMK now, because anti-incumbent is towards them. Second, they're making a mockery of everything, and so it's easy for him to take away a huge chunk of DMK's vote share than compared to ADMK.
But as Suman said, I mean, if he's saying Tiya Sakti, Tuya Sakti, which is a Jayalalitha line, which is an MJR line, then he's targeting the ADMK voter. No, he's not targeting the DMK voter.
No. He said they used to say.
Karnataka didn't use that phrase.
But I don't think he's really worried about the BJP and ADMK, because there could be a possibility they are aligning together. So I don't think he's really worried about that.
So you think he will backdoor, or maybe after the polls finally come together with BJP and ADMK, or no?
Why not, Zaka? See, look at it this way. See, for me, this Vijay becoming a CM in 2026 compared to 31 is a larger possibility, because you be with them, you learn the tricks of the trade, and by 2031, when Mr. Edapadi retires, probably he'll have the ADMK party also with him.
Okay. So is that the plan? I mean, aim for a hung house, and then whoever wants to form the government, clearly he can't get into bed with the DMK. He's attacking Mr. Stalin every rally.
Zaka.
So hung house, then all three parties come together and then prop him up.
No, Zaka, off the record, he has been told informally that should the AIADMK not get an independent majority, it could be a coalition government with him having a role in it. That has been conveyed to him, and a sizable number of seats are also on the table. That offer has also been made.
But he doesn't want any role. The only role he wants is Chief Minister. That's the only role he wants.
Yeah, that's the problem. Zaka, for 1 year, he's been saying we'll align with anybody who accepts Vijay as Chief Minister. Not a single party, big or small, has come. So what do? You can't go on with this dialogue. And after Karur, I think the Chief Minister bit is a bit of a dream. Maybe it's a bargaining chip which he is using, driving a harder bargain to keep saying that I'm going to be keeping the suspense alive until the last minute, until maybe February, when maybe last week or first week of March, when the elections are announced. And then maybe at the last minute say that the main objective is to get the DMK out of power, and for this we will make compromises and then do what needs to be done.
It's going to be an interesting
situation.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Is,
my theory is, as we conclude, my theory is he will not ally with either of these two parties before the election. I think they're all playing the game for a hung assembly. I don't know if it'll happen. I can't remember the last.
If he doesn't do that, he won't win.
I can't remember the last time there was a hung house in Tamil Nadu. It's a very decisive, very clear mandate, clear people. They're made up in their mind. So the game that I think Mr. Vijay is playing, and perhaps aided by BJP and ADMK to some extent, is aim for a hung house. And once the election happens, once no single party is able to form a government on its own, then these three parties can form some kind of an arrangement, whether through coalition or support from outside, whatever it is. That's the game they are playing. I am not sure that the people of Tamil Nadu are indecisive that way. I mean, you can go back all the way to, God knows, the 1970s. The verdicts have always been very, very clear, either DMK or ADMK. But who knows in 2026. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Sumant Raman and Mr. Muralidharan, for joining us. Let's see. It's going to be a fascinating election in Tamil Nadu. Meanwhile, staying with the South, the Congress government in Karnataka is now facing sharp questions over some of the guarantees that brought it to power, really. The flagship Shakti Guarantee, for example, the Shakti Guarantee scheme. It's left a massive financial hole in the state transport corporations. The government has admitted that the outstanding dues have now mounted to over 4,000 crore rupees. And that has pushed the already cash-strapped transport bodies into a deeper financial mess. Karnataka Minister for Women and Child Welfare apologized for providing incorrect information on the dispersal of payments under the Grihalakshmi scheme. She also said that the installments for February and March had not been released so far, but did not provide the exact figures. So as far as the free bus travel scheme is concerned, this is the official data by the state government, by the Transport Department. It shows unpaid reimbursements rising steadily over 1,180 crores in the year 2023-24 and more than 1,170 crores in 2024-25. And now, in the current financial year, already it is 1,650 plus crores. Now, the delay in reimbursements has left the 4 state transport corporations struggling to meet their operational costs, intensifying concerns over their financial sustainability. The total outstanding now stands at a little over 4,000 crores.
ಇದು ವಿಧಾನಸೌಧದಲ್ಲಿ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಬಾಕಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಣ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. 4,000 ಕೋಟಿ ಬಾಕಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. 2023ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಬಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಟ್ಟಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ 4,000 ಕೋಟಿ ಸಾಲ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೌಕರರ ಸಂಘದವರು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ 1,700 ಕೋಟಿ 38 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಸೇರಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇರ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟೋಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಒಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಡಳಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಲವನ್ನು ನಾವು ತೀರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ 2,000 ಕೋಟಿ ತೀರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಏನು ದಿವಾಳಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಶಕ್ತಿ ಹಣ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಗೃಹಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಹಣ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಇವ್ರ ಬಂಡವಾಳನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತೆ. BJP ಅವ್ರ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಹಿಂದೆ 2002 ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನರೇಗಾ ಹಣ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾಕಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ 5ನೇ ಹಣಕಾಸು ಆಯೋಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಭದ್ರಾ ಮೇಲ್ದಂಡೆಗೆ 5,300 ಕೋಟಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಅದನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ.
In excess of 4,000 crores is what the state government owes to various state transport corporations in Karnataka, ones that implemented the Shakti scheme, the free bus travel for women scheme, and this is starting from 2023. The BJP is saying that this is putting a tremendous pressure on these corporations and how they operate as well. Several videos that have come out in the last couple of years show how buses that perhaps shouldn't be plying on the road are being operated by these corporations. Even in Bengaluru, we've seen BMTC buses breaking down and resulting in traffic snarl. The Congress has hit back, saying that the government itself cleared around 2,000 crore rupees, which was left behind as pending salary and PF dues by the Basuraj Bommai government. And this is coming at a time when the BJP is already mounting pressure on the state government, saying that they're not effectively rolling out the other guarantee, the Grihalakshmi scheme. In fact, Minister went on the floor of the House and apologized because the BJP said that the Minister for Women Welfare had lied to the House about how many pending dues was there when it came to Grihalakshmi, and claimed that dues nearly 5,000 crore rupees hasn't been rolled out and women haven't got at least 2 installments. The state government conceded that the Grihalakshmi scheme and the payment of it, that installment has been cleared till August and around 2 months of payment is pending. The BJP has now come out and said that these 2 cases show that Karnataka's exchequer in fact has gone dry and the state has become bankrupt.
Meanwhile, anti-India sentiments continue to flare up in Bangladesh, with protesters attempting marches towards the Indian diplomatic missions in multiple cities today. 2 Indian visa application centers in Rajshahi and Khulna were closed today. The protesters also clashed with the police. In Rajshahi, the protesters marched towards the Assistant High Commission of India. Earlier threats against Indian diplomats prompted India to summon the Bangladeshi envoy. A démarche was issued against him as well. There seems to be no political will really in the Yunus administration to change that. Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview to News 18, former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina launched a sharp attack on interim chief advisor Mohammad Yunus, accusing him of pushing the country into instability and seeking proximity with Pakistan for political legitimacy. She also added that Yunus lacks both the mandate and the experience to conduct diplomacy, and claimed that Yunus is rushing to embrace Pakistan and is begging for international validation. She also mentioned that the targeting of minorities, the attacks on women are all attempts to erase the liberation history and are disturbing echoes of 1971. Hasina also expressed appreciation for India's patience, saying that she had no doubt that Bangladesh's relationship with India can withstand the silliness of Yunus's interlude, which will be, according to her, temporary. She says India is not just a strategic partner, it's a friend with whom we share cultures, histories, and a 4,000-kilometer long border. So for the last 3 days now, and mind you, this is the week of Vijay Divas. 16th of December was when the Indian troops stormed into Dhaka and, Bangladesh was liberated on the 16th of December 1971. In that very week, for the last 3 days, there have been multiple protests against Indian diplomats and against the Indian High Commission and Assistant High Commission. Also, this matter got taken up in Parliament by the Standing Committee on External Affairs.
Dhaka's already strained relationship with New Delhi has come under pressure after two recent developments. One, Bangladeshi opposition leader made provocative statements by threatening India to detach 7 sisters. And second, a killing of a person whose killing is now being linked to India by political operatives in Bangladesh. Both these developments have once again put relationship in pressure. India has raised objection over the provocative anti-India remarks as New Delhi is sensitive about security in its northeast due to insurgency, its strategic location between Bangladesh, Myanmar and China. Sharif Osman Hadi, a prominent leader of the July 2024 uprising and spokesperson for the radical group Inqilab Mancha, was shot and critically injured by unidentified assailants in Dhaka on December 12. The attack occurred shortly after he initiated his independent campaign for the upcoming February 2026 general elections. 2 violent protests took place in Visa Center. Due to this, Indian side decided to temporarily suspend the visa service for a day due to security reasons. The threat to Indian diplomats and missions still continues as many groups have given call for a march outside Indian missions. Where on the other end, Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs chaired by Shashi Tharoor tables report in Parliament on India-Bangladesh relations. Committee cites non-governmental testimony says current situation in Bangladesh is India's biggest strategic challenge since 1971. Report notes challenge is no longer existential but deeper and long-term driven by political transition and strategic realignment.
US President Donald Trump has unveiled what he calls the Presidential Walk of Fame. As you walk through the White House from the East Wing to the West Wing, you see the photographs of all the previous American presidents, under which Trump has now unveiled plaques about each one of those presidents. Those citations read literally like a Trump rant or a Trump Truth Social post against his predecessors. Here's the lowdown.
The White House has new plaques on its Presidential Walk of Fame and are challenging tradition once again. Set along corridors between the Oval Office and the South Lawn, they sharply criticize some former U.S. presidents. Traditionally, the White House has been viewed as a symbol of unity, but the additions reflect Donald Trump's combative political style and penchant for historical revisionism. One plaque referring to Joe Biden calls him the worst president in American history and falsely claims he won the most corrupt election ever. Biden is represented only by an image of an auto pen, a device that replicates signatures, instead of an official portrait. Another plaque refers to, quote, Barack Hussein Obama as one of the most divisive political figures in American history. Even former President George W. Bush, a fellow Republican but not a Trump supporter, is criticized for starting wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, quote, both of which should not have happened. Historians say Trump himself is widely considered the most polarizing president in U.S. history. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the plaques were an eloquent description of each president's legacy. She added that many were written by Trump himself. The plaques are part of broader changes to White House decor during Trump's second term, including gold accents and fixtures reminiscent of Trump Tower and his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida.
So these new plaques have just been added to the so-called Presidential Walk of Fame. They almost read, some of them, like Truth Social posts, including the ones under President Obama's that says he was one of the most divisive political figures in American history. Under President Biden's, it describes him as Sleepy Joe Biden and also says that he was the worst U.S. president in history. There are some that are nicer, including under Ronald Reagan's, for example, where President Trump says at the end that he was a fan of Trump's long before he ran for president. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president actually hand-wrote some of these plaques himself.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again thrown down the gauntlet at Europe and Ukraine. He has said that Russia's goals in the invasion of Ukraine will be achieved unconditionally. There is no backing off from Russia's goals, which will be achieved, as he says, whether on the battlefield or in talks to achieve those aims. And Russia will do whatever it takes to achieve those aims. This comes even as America, Europe, and Ukraine have been trying to flesh out a new 20-point peace plan to end this war. So is Putin doing this as a negotiating tactic ahead of those talks, or is he simply doing this to upset Trump?
Russian President Vladimir Putin has delivered one of his harshest speeches yet on the war in Ukraine. He openly insulted European leaders. He repeated that Russia will not back down on territory, and he warned that if talks fail, Moscow will push ahead with force. All this comes as the United States tries to revive peace talks while fighting continues on the ground. Speaking at Russia's annual defense ministry meeting, Vladimir Putin called European leaders little pigs and piglets. He accused them of blindly following the previous U.S. administration. He said they hoped Russia would collapse.
Все полагали, что за короткий период времени Россию они разрушат, развалят. А европейские подсвинки тут же включились в эту работу прежней американской администрации в надежде поживиться на развале нашей страны.
Putin rejected claims that Russia plans to attack Europe. He called such warnings lies and said European leaders are spreading fear on purpose. According to Putin, Europe is creating panic by suggesting Russia could target NATO countries next. He said Moscow has no such plan. European leaders deny these claims and say Russia should not be rewarded for starting the war. Putin made one thing clear: Russia's goals in Ukraine remain unchanged. He said Russia will achieve its aims unconditionally, either through talks or through military action. Putin repeated that Russia wants control over what it calls its historical lands. That includes Crimea, which Russia took in 2014, and large parts of eastern and southern Ukraine. Russia currently controls about 19% of Ukrainian territory. This includes most of the Donbas region, large parts of Kherson and Zaporizhia, and smaller areas elsewhere. Ukraine rejects Russia's claims. So does most of the world. The United States has been holding separate talks with Russia, Ukraine, and European leaders. So far, there is no deal. Russia wants Ukraine to give up control of Donetsk and Luhansk. It also wants limits on Ukraine's military. Ukraine refuses. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Kyiv will never accept the loss of its territory. Ukraine is also demanding strong security guarantees to stop any future Russian attack. NATO membership remains distant. European leaders are discussing legal guarantees that would force partners to respond if Ukraine is attacked again. Any such plan would need approval from the U.S. Congress. Zelensky says Ukraine has been promised security before and those promises failed. Putin accused the previous U.S. administration of pushing the region into war. He claimed Washington believed Russia could be quickly weakened or destroyed. He also said European leaders helped fuel the conflict. Putin insisted Russia prefers diplomacy when there is even a small chance it can work. But he warned that pressure and threats only push Moscow toward force. If talks fail, Putin said Russia will take what it wants on the battlefield. While talks continue, the fighting has not stopped. In the northeast, heavy clashes are ongoing around Kupiansk. Ukraine says it controls nearly 90% of the town. Russia says Ukrainian attempts to retake it have failed. Independent verification is not possible. Kupiansk is a key rail hub. Much of it has already been destroyed after nearly 4 years of war. Ukraine's leadership says frontline gains matter for diplomacy. Russia says its forces are advancing across the battlefield. Russia claims it captured more land in 2025 than in 2024. Ukraine says Russian advances came at a heavy cost. Russia's defense minister Andrei Belousov said Moscow plans to increase the pace of its offensive in 2026. Russia is spending 5.1% of its total economy on the war in 2025. That highlights how deeply the war is tied to the Russian state. Belousov also accused Europe of trying to block peace talks. He warned that talk of a future NATO-Russia war increases the risk of fighting next year. Putin also announced plans to deploy a new missile system called Oreshnik by the end of 2025. The missile was first revealed after a strike on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro last year. Putin described it as extremely powerful and difficult to stop. Some experts doubt those claims. Russia says the missile could also be stationed in Belarus, which borders Ukraine and NATO countries. Ukraine has warned that the missile's range could threaten parts of Europe. Kyiv is asking Western countries to sanction firms involved in building it. European leaders say Russia must not gain from the war. The European Union is debating whether to use frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. Most of that money is held in Belgium. Some countries worry about legal risks and possible retaliation. The United States is also considering new sanctions on Russia's energy sector if Moscow rejects a deal. U.S. officials say NATO-style security guarantees could stop future attacks. Russia has not agreed. Putin says Russia is ready to talk, but only on its own terms. Ukraine says it will not surrender land. Europe wants strong guarantees. The U.S. says a deal is close, but key issues remain unresolved.
This is News 8.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, listen to this. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Kirti Vardhan Singh, today in a written reply in Parliament has said, and hold your breath for this, air pollution is only one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments and associated diseases, but there is no conclusive data that establishes a direct correlation between higher AQI and lung disease. No conclusive data available to establish a direct correlation of deaths exclusively by air pollution. When there are a number of studies, any number of studies that show that, including Lancet, which is the world's most respected journal, but who's to tell the Honorable Mantri ji that? But let me go across to our political editor, Aman Sharma, who's joining us. Aman, is there any context basis to what the minister is saying, that there is no link between deaths and rising AQI?
Well, interestingly, Zaka, there were two questions asked to the Minister of State for Environment, Kirti Vardhan Singh, and one question was by a BJP MP, Lakshmikant Bajpai, and the other question is by a Congress MP, Randeep Surjewala. And what they asked is that what is the relation of the rising pollution in the capital with lung diseases, and one MP asked what is the relation with death. So in both these answers, the government is clearly denying any connection between rising AQI with either lung diseases or with death. So I'll read out the first answer to you, where the minister says air pollution is one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments and associated diseases. There is no conclusive data which establishes a direct correlation between higher AQI levels and lung diseases. So the government is saying there isn't even any data to show that lung disease is caused by higher AQI. And the second answer, he's going further and saying that air pollution is one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments, but there is no data to show it is leading to any deaths. And this, Zaka, flies in the face of what we have heard from Lancet. Just, very recently, in fact, last week when the data came out of Lancet and they put out a report, they clearly said that 15 lakh deaths are linked to pollution in India. This is the biggest medical journal, the most reputed medical journal, saying about the air pollution situation in India. It is also said that PM 2.5 is linked to multiple health issues. There is a nationwide impact, not just in the urban areas, and Lancet even said the exposure raises heart, lung and premature death risk. So the Lancet is saying it's calling causing lung diseases, it is causing premature death, but the government remains in denial and says there is no data to establish this at that.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, listen to this. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Kirti Vardhan Singh, today in a written reply in Parliament has said, and hold your breath for this, air pollution is only one of the triggering factors for respiratory ailments and associated diseases, but there is no conclusive data that establishes a direct correlation between higher AQI and lung disease. No conclusive data available to establish a direct correlation of deaths exclusively by air pollution. When there are a number of studies, any number of studies that show that, including Lancet, which is the world's most respected journal, but who's to tell the Honorable Mantri ji that? But let me go across to our political editor, Aman Sharma, who's joining us. Aman, is there any context basis to what the minister is saying, that there is no link between deaths and rising AQI?
Well, interestingly, Zaka, there were two questions asked to this Minister of State for Environment, Kirti Vardhan Singh, and one question was by a BJP MP, Lakshmikant Bajpai, and the other question is by a Congress MP, Randeep Surjewala. And what they asked is that what is the relation of the rising pollution in the capital with lung diseases, and one MP asked what is the relation with death. So in both these answers, the government is clearly denying any connection between rising AQI with either lung